Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michael Morris. I'm the Interim Superintendent for the Amherst, Pelham, and Amherst Pelham Regional Schools. And it's my great pleasure today to be able to introduce two new staff members to our larger community. The first being Ryan Harb, who's our new Food Service Director of our first time in a long time in-house food service program. And the second is Doreen Cunningham, who is our new Assistant Superintendent of Diversity, Equity, and Human Resources. I'm very excited to work with them and to share them with you, with the community members of Amherst. And I'll start with Ryan with some of the questions so that the community can get to know a little bit more about both your role and also your background and experience and interest in working in Amherst. So tell us a little bit about your background, particularly given your role as a food service director. Where'd you grow up and where did you develop an interest in food at a young age? Share any of those memories with me and with the community.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me today, Mike. My background, I grew up in Andover, Massachusetts, a little bit north of Boston, and I had some really wonderful grandparents. I have some just great family, I would say DNA, where food has been just in my blood for a long, long time. So I was actually talking with my grandparents recently, and their parents both owned restaurants, and that's actually how my great-grandparents met. And so I think I caught the bug at a young age where I always remember just loving to cook, and even cooking in middle school, high school for some of my friends. Food was a way that I think creative side could come out. And so that's continued, into my work, into my professional career. I started working after college at UMass Amherst for the dining services. And I spent 3 years there working on the sustainability initiatives and specifically growing permaculture gardens right outside of the dining commons. And that taught me a lot. I really learned, the growing side, and then how that food being grown locally can go right into the cafeterias.
Yeah, I would say award-winning UMass food service
yeah,
program as well.
Right down the street, the #1 in the country.
That's right.
And just still have a lot of connections, a lot of friends over at UMass. I'd love to continue working with them and just exploring partnerships. There's just a lot we can, I think, do here, being really right here in the Pioneer Valley. We have so much, and I think it was almost like destiny that I ended up here going to school, then being surrounded by such great farmlands and a community that cares so much about food. It really shaped my life in a big way. Yeah. And so now I'm out here, and it's just a great place. I could never see myself leaving at this point.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and on behalf of our 2,700 students in our district, and my daughter being one of them, we were very excited to have you on board, and your enthusiasm for food, I think, is shared by our students, especially our growing, middle school age, as well as the younger ones and the older ones who are voracious eaters and looking forward to having healthy and tasty food to eat on a daily basis. So we're excited to have you.
Yeah.
Turning to Doreen, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background with us. A little bit about your background and history and about your interest in diversity, equity, and human resources, given your new role in the district.
Okay. Well, I was born in Jamaica and West Indies, and then I moved here, well, not here to Massachusetts, but to New York. And so I lived in New York for many, many years, where I went to school. And when your parents tell you to do one thing and you decide, no, I'm going to do something else. Well, my mom said, oh, you should be a teacher. And I said, no way, I'm going to go and be a fashion designer. So I went to college for fashion. And after a while, I said, you know what, I don't feel as fulfilled. And I had kids. So I moved to Connecticut. And that's where I decided to become an educator. Now, my mom, she went to college for accounting and business, and my dad owned his own company. So also the bug to own my own business was a part of who I was. So I became an educator. I started off as a para and worked my way up to becoming a teacher. I taught special ed, and I taught the bilingual program that we had in our district. Then I became an intervention specialist for academics and behaviors, then moved up into administration. But at the same time, the reason I bring up my mom being, and her background in accounting and such, is because I also, at the same time, owned my own business. So I owned a financial company. I hired, fired, trained, did everything, from soup to nuts with my employees. So I've always had that dual track So when I saw the posting for both equity, diversity, and human resources, I said, wow, that's the perfect job for me, knowing that I have the background in education and also the background in finances, hiring, and owning my own business. So Amherst, when I came here, I met a lot of very interesting people, and they had a lot to tell me. You know, I read that only the H is silent, and it rang true. So I'm looking forward to doing and meeting a lot of the community members with my role in this community.
Absolutely. I just want to note that I'm so glad that you have a background in food and a background in fashion, two things that are glaring weaknesses of myself. So hopefully both of you will rub off in terms of my cooking and dressing skills. But on a more serious note, I appreciate both of the backgrounds and experiences that you share. And Doreen, you touched on this, but what interested you and what excited you about coming to work in Amherst for the 3 districts that we work for, given that's a new role, both of you are in new roles actually in our district. What motivated you to want to come here and particular to this role?
Coming to the district, I was always visiting Amherst for different events that took place here, but coming here was due to an email I got from Nick Yaffe. So he reached out to me. I thought it was spam, and so I didn't respond for a while, but he kept reaching out. And so finally I said, you know what, let me try and see who this is and why he keeps contacting me. So when he told me more about the school system, and I looked up a lot of the information on the DESE website, I said, this is a place for me because it has the small town feel, but I also knew that I can make a great impact with the knowledge that I have, the background that I have, and with the kind of things that you guys were looking forward to doing for our kids and for the community. So I just thought it was a perfect place to be, a perfect fit.
Fantastic, thank you. Ryan, can you talk a little bit about what interested you when the food service director position was posted, knowing that our district had, the school committee had agreed with the recommendation that administration had made to move from a outsourced food service program to an in-house food service program. Can you tell a little bit about what interested you in this particular position as well as this particular community?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I share the sentiment, Doreen, about it just feeling like a great fit. And that when I saw the posting for a director of food service job for Amherst Public Schools, I thought, oh my gosh, this is my dream job.
Right.
I said, I came out here for school in 2004. I have never looked back ever since. I fell in love with this area. I fell in love with the community. I've built a lot of connections around here, and I just really value Amherst and this area. And so when this position opened up in the schools, and I just thought, wow, all my training, all my passion about food and where food comes from and getting good food to people who really need it. Just thinking about kids and the students in our district, and for them to have that ability to eat good food every single day, like the impact I believe that has just on learning, on achievement, on being able to just fulfill their highest potential. I just thought, oh my gosh, this is in the community where I live. I have to at least apply for it, and I don't know if I'll get it. And then I got the email saying, hey, come back in. And when I was offered the position, it was just a no-brainer for me. I thought, this is perfect. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Thank you. One of the things that I know about you, and I think it's coming through in what you're sharing with the community on the show, is that food and school food are incredibly important to you.
Yeah.
And can you speak a little bit about your thoughts as to why they're so critical for you and why you're making this, your career choice and your vocation? If you could share a little bit with the community, I think they would appreciate hearing that.
Definitely, yeah. So actually, it brings up kind of my own background is when I was going through middle school, high school. I'm just like thinking back and reflecting on, so where am I now and where did I come from? And I realized that I didn't have very healthy food choices when I was going to school. It wasn't the school food. I was a lot of times bringing my own lunch. But I think my parents weren't very strict on me, and they allowed me to do, eat what I wanted to. And it actually, I think I wasn't as healthy as I could have been. And I think thinking back, I don't think I was fulfilling my potential back then. And I had this time in my life where I realized I was actually a little bit heavier than I am now. And I decided to make some changes to my diet, my exercise. And I actually ended up losing about 65 pounds. Wow. And it was big, but most of all, like more than the physical transformation. It was my own mental state. It was confidence. It was just feeling better about myself.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like taking back power. It's what I put into my body, and then it's affecting my mood. It's affecting positivity. And it's just my life changed. And so I just think about that as like food just is such a foundational piece that I think oftentimes it can get ignored because life is very busy, and we need food to just be able to fulfill whatever task is in front of us. But if you really take that time to have nourishing food that can just fulfill all the basic nutritional needs that the body needs to just continue to sustain itself, it can make such a difference.
Yeah, I fully believe that. And could you maybe share with the viewers a bit? I was able, and as was Doreen, able to see something that you set up for our middle school summer program, our Vela program last week, which I think mixes both the healthy food but also the exercise. And I got to talk to some of the students and the teachers, the counselors afterwards, and heard their level of excitement. Do you mind describing that a bit?
Definitely, yeah. So last week, so we're doing a summer meals program, and for the month of July, and we actually brought in a smoothie blender bike. And so what that is, as you know, Mike, is it's a stationary bike, and it actually has a blender on the front of it. And students can get on, or adults, because adults find this activity really fun too, to get on, and the pedals actually spin the blender. And so we put really healthy, good ingredients in that blender. It was yogurt, peaches, frozen banana, frozen strawberries. And so we made these, it was called Strawberry Banana Dreamsicle Smoothie. And we handed them out to the kids after they pedaled and made their own smoothie. And it's this way to just get local yogurt, local fruit, into this form where it's really inviting. It looks really nice. It's a beautiful color. It tastes phenomenal.
It does. I can attest to that personally.
Yeah, me too.
The kids in the hallway were just saying, hey, where's our smoothies today? And that's what we're hoping to start to do this fall, is start to roll out smoothies and have those available during the meals. And those fit the meal pattern nutritional guidelines as well with the USDA. So it's just a way to bring really good, healthy food in a form that's appetizing, that looks good, that tastes good to kids and adults, and that's what I'm hoping to do in the district.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask you one more question before I turn back to Doreen, which, given that this is our first year being an in-house, having an in-house food service program in some time, and this is your first year in the role, what are some of your goals and visions for the program in year one?
Yeah. Wow. So I have so many goals, but I don't know if I'll be able to do them all in year one. But at the same time, I'm here for a while. So it's really going into year one. It's a big transformation, going from just having a management company and all the resources that they have, and then now it's managing it ourselves. So there's a lot of little things that are being taken care of that are replacing signs, doing kind of the boring stuff. But then as far as the food coming out, it's really incorporating more local food. It's sourcing from different local food businesses, small businesses in the area that produce things like local applesauce, sliced apples, and then we have farmers around here that grow. I think last year the Pioneer Valley had 3 million pounds of butternut squash.
Wow.
And so, butternut squash, how do we make that in an appetizing way for kids? And, doing like a cider glaze or a honey glaze, and they're even making butternut squash noodles now. So just incorporating local ingredients that are available around here, that are grown by our local farmers, and transforming it in a way where it's really appetizing, it's really exciting to kids.
Yeah.
And so just trying to incorporate that and get good, local, healthy food, make it look good and taste absolutely phenomenal. And we actually have a chef who's going to be working with us 2 days a week, working with our food services, amazing staff. And together I think we can just come up with new recipes, at least one new recipe every month that we can just try out in the schools, and then go into the cafeteria and let kids taste it in a small portion first. Yeah. And then if they like it, they can vote on that, and we can take that feedback and then say, hey, kids really voted, they want this recipe on the menu, so let's put it on the menu the next day. Yeah. And then that's how we start to build up these really good database of awesome recipes that kids like, kids approved, parents approved, and grown locally. It's just, it works on every level.
Yeah, and I really love that feedback loop that the students, the consumers, so to speak, are an active part of the selection process and the growth of the program more generally, and that we're not limited with the same 5 meals, that we just rotate in a different order every week, but we're really being inventive and creative. That sounds really exciting to the kids and the adults. I mean, I think both the parent lens, but also the staff lens as well. Okay. Switching over to Doreen, could you share a bit about why diversity? You talked more earlier about human resources and your background there, but around diversity and equity and why those are core principles of yours that you looking forward to bringing to in the position into the district?
Well, coming from another country and speaking in an accent that people didn't understand at the time, I felt the impact of being considered an ELL student and also special ed, and I saw how that category basically hindered my older brother to the point where he eventually dropped out of school. And that affected me, my family, him, and his trajectory in life. So it was something that I said, if I could do something about that, I really want to. Then going to school, I didn't see people who looked like me. And so when they were telling me things, or even when I was telling them things, they didn't understand where I was coming from. They didn't understand things such as I wrote a story and I told my teacher that I was writing about a duppy. And she was like, no, a guppy, a fish? And I'm like, no, a duppy, which is a ghost. And the whole story had to change because she didn't understand anything about what I was saying or what I was doing. So I want our students and our families to know that someone in my position understands where they're coming from, what they're going through, and look to them to help to make a difference. So part of the goal for our office is to make sure that we increase the number of faculty that look like our demographics of students. Another part is not just to increase them, but to retain our faculty of color and to grow them. So we have lots of people there in our offices and in our classrooms, in our facilities, who are able to do a lot more, but they just need someone to believe in them and to help them to get to that next level. And so that's one of the things that I would like to do in my role of diversity and equity. And just to fulfill that, we've even changed our name from just plain Human Resources to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Human Resources, because it just tells what we're looking, the vision that we're looking to incorporate for this coming year.
Yeah. And could you talk a little more about some of your goals or the vision? I think you've addressed a lot of that, but either for this year or perhaps even down the road. You've talked about the staffing pieces. Are there other elements that you'd like to, that you're planning to bring this year?
Oh, definitely. So I began by talking about my brother who ended up dropping out of school and changing his trajectory. But I also want to look at the courses that we're offering and how students are being selected for certain courses. I'd like to, as some members of the community brought up, look at our discipline data, who's being disciplined and how, and is it fair for all or equitable? I'd like to look at staffing. Is there some way that we can make sure that our staff are able to, just do the things that we need them to do or that they are able to do and let them grow? So I'm looking forward to opening up programs for paras to become teachers, for teachers to become administrators. I'm looking for ways to help them to address any kind of ideas that they may have, because they're on the ground and doing the actual work. So they may have ideas on ways that things can be streamlined and done better. And so I'd like to hear their voices. So giving them an opportunity to speak and be heard and know that they're valued, because if they don't feel valued, they won't stay. So I want them to know that I do value them and their opinions, and I want them to stay. And the students and the families, same thing. I value who they are, what they have to offer, and want them to be around and be part of this amazing thing that we're doing here in Amherst.
Yeah. And just a couple more questions as we head towards the end of this introduction. How is your experience? Both of you have been here now about a month and a half. Both of you started a little before the change in the fiscal year. And what have some of your experiences been since you've been employed by the district and now working in our community, our 4 communities?
Yeah, just getting into the district a couple of months now, I've met so many people already, and that it's the people. That's one of the big reasons I took the job, is the community that we're a part of here, and then just what a warm and inviting staff and welcome that I received in the district. It's amazing. And to work for an organization that you brought up valuing and employees feeling valued, and I've really felt that from the beginning here. And I just can't tell you, thank you, Mike, and for just everybody to be so welcoming to new employees into the district. and the level of passion too that I've seen around food in our community.
Yes.
The hiring committee was made up of parents as well as staff. Just everyone really wants to see things change in a positive direction, and that's something that I'm really taking note of, and also realizing that, hey, as one person, there's no way I'm going to be able to just change everything myself, and that's never the way change happens. It always takes a group, it's a movement. And so I think we have that here. I think we have a large group of people in our community that just say, hey, how can we work together to just make the food program what we want it to be and what we know it can be, given that we have these great neighbors like UMass who are setting the bar so high. And how do we do that ourselves? And I think we're in a process now of figuring that out, that it's not going to be a light switch overnight to say we're the best now in the country.
Right.
But what steps do we take to get there? And that's wonderful to be a part of that.
Right. And I would echo Ryan's sentiments, because since I've been here, so many people have come out to share their opinions, share their concerns, share their expertise on different matters, and offer their help. So, like I said before, only the H is silent. So I've heard a lot of opinions. I've had a lot of people come and say, hey, I'm here to help.
That's great.
And so the community has been very welcoming and has embraced our initiatives.
If the community, wants to get more involved with either of your two areas, can they, or how could the community support the great work that both of you are starting in your domains?
Definitely, yes. Like we need help. We need to do this together. And so anyone who wants to get involved, we can find out different ways for that to happen. It's going to be a case-by-case basis based on how much time do you have. Do you want to come here every day and help? Because we can probably find ways. I have a list of to-do items. But there could also be little ways to get involved. So from a staffing point of view, we actually need some substitutes for next year. Sometimes our amazing staff, someone will get sick, and we don't want people who are sick, to be cooking food at all. And so I encourage them, don't come in. Let's find a substitute who can just come in. So someone who just has a little bit of time, part-time, that just wants to come in and just help out and be part of how does food get rolled out every single day to 200 kids, or depending on the school. And it's amazing, it's magic, and to be part of that is really exciting. And so I'd welcome people to contact me if you just have any time and want to be a part of that. Another one, just a smaller kind of role, might be, do you have a recipe? Is there something that you cook at home or that's within your family that you would love to share with others, with the school community? UMass did a great thing when I was working there. They actually crowdsourced a recipe book. And so parents who had students at UMass could submit recipes that they cook at home, and they created a parents' cookbook. And wouldn't it be cool to do something like that in our community, where there's so much culture, there's so many people here that have these great just things that they've cooked for maybe even generations. And if they have that willingness to share those, maybe they could even come in and show us how to do that. Just make food fun and exciting, and it can mean so much to so many people. It's just,
what's the best way, before we go to Doreen, what's the
Sure.
best way for someone who has a recipe to share that with you?
Definitely email me. My email address is just my last name, Harb, and then the letter R, at ARPS.org.
Great.
And you can also call me, and it's on the food service website as well. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. So I will start off with, typically they say that there's 6 degrees of separation. So I'm hoping that any viewers who, are watching right now that may know of someone who can assist in the process of helping our paras to become teachers. Maybe they know someone at some of the colleges who they may be doing something similar, or they know of someone in other school districts that may be doing something similar and want to reach out and help us and show us what's being done. And also, there's such a history here of initiatives that have been started, that they can share some of that history with me, because I am very new to the community. So it would be great for them to reach out. I can be reached at cunninghamd@arps.org. And also I'm on the school website, and they can always reach out. My door's open. They can contact me. They can come in. We can have a conversation. We can have a cup of coffee.
Great. Thank you.
Me too. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, this is, as opposed to the excitement that comes with you, this is my 17th year in the district, and one of the reasons that I feel so excited for the coming year is the new energy that staff like yourselves bring to our students, to our faculty, to our community. So both of you were hired, as Ryan referenced, in very significant, elaborate hiring committees that were large, and I think through intense processes, because we want to make sure that we're getting the best people to support our district. And in both of these cases, I feel incredibly confident in your role, that the hiring committee did a fantastic job to bring you to our district. And what's really nice, having been around a while, is I've seen the district try different things, and I'm just so appreciative of the ideas that both of you are bringing already in the first 6 weeks of being on staff to our district. And I know that'll continue long to the future. So formally, I want to say welcome. I'm so glad that you did this show to welcome yourselves and introduce yourselves to the community. And certainly for the community to know, you'll be hearing more from Doreen and from Ryan throughout the course of the year, and please do take them up on their opportunities to partner, because we are a community, we're a district, but we're a community that really wants to work collaboratively with all of our membership. And we have these two wonderful individuals filling critical roles in our district, so please come join and partner with us. And I want to thank Amherst Media for taping this show, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.